But what I wanted to get started with is this concept of, we talk about problem solving and turbulence. Well, the first question people are going to ask is, what is turbulence? And I'm talking not just like air turbulence or turbulence in a physical way, but system turbulence. So if you think about complex systems as being sort of like you're navigating a ship along the ocean. Think of this old frigate, wooden sails, right? The ocean can have fast currents, it can have slow currents, and you navigate around those, but they're fairly steady currents. The wind may increase or not, but turbulence in this metaphor of a ship on the ocean is when a storm comes in and those waves begin really roiling. And you've seen it, we've all seen it in Hollywood, maybe we've experienced it. That's what we would call one-dimensional turbulence, and that's a physical kind of turbulence. If you're flying in an airplane, pockets of air that can cause the plane to jerk around, these are turbulence in systems. But these are simple physical systems, and it's usually one-dimensional turbulence. So if you're a captain on one of these old wooden ships with sails, you have a crew, you have a boat, and the water, the ocean you're going across turns into this roiling mass of waves. Well, you try and navigate your boat through that turbulence. You don't really care what's going on at the bottom of the seafloor. You know the capabilities of your ship. It's not going to change on you. You know your crew. You've hopefully trained them well. So you're managing one-dimensional turbulence. In complex systems, though, we're not bound by physical limitations the way we are in a physical system. So turbulence can become multidimensional turbulence. And I think what's going on now in the world is a really good example of the challenges of multidimensional turbulence. It's kind of like you're navigating that boat through the ocean, and not only is the storm roiling the waves and chopping it, but your boat's changing as well. You may have gone from a sleek frigate doing pirate hunting to a cargo ship. Your boat physically changes in a reaction because there's now a connection in complex systems between the world around you and the structure you're occupying and dealing with. So a second dimension of turbulence, maybe your organization begins reacting to the turbulence around it by shifting and changing. A third dimension of turbulence might be the people. We live in a pandemic world where people have needs and demands being placed on them, concerns and fears that are coming from outside the organization. So that's a third dimension of turbulence, right? Again, the physical turbulence of an airplane flying through a storm clouds or a boat on the seas, that's one-dimensional turbulence, and it's not easy, but you can navigate that because everything else is staying the same. In a complex system, when we talk about multidimensional turbulence, these interacting turbulences begin to feed off one another in creating feedback effects that complicates the reaction and problem solving to them. And we can keep going on. There's many more kinds of turbulence. There's governmental turbulence. Is your community going to be open or closed next week? Or what phase are you in? All these economic turbulence. Are we in a situation where your supply chains are open or closed? All of these dimensions of turbulence have to be navigated and managed at the same time, which is what the definition of a really complex system is, and it's kind of what we're all living with right now. And so the way we look at this, the way you can think of this, the reason I use structured systems thinking is because it's kind of a way of understanding all of these relationships as it's happening. Now, there's a formal science called system dynamics that we use computational simulations and lots of math. Structured system thinking is kind of the heuristic version of that. It's a decision-making skill. It's something you can use without data, without a lot of technology, but it's designed to help you see the relationship between these different interacting parts. They describe it as not seeing the forest or the trees, but seeing the forest and the trees, understanding the role of all of these individual parts that they play individually, but then using tools to understand how they come together. And the use of structured systems thinking is it's designed for people who aren't scientists to have a decision-making skill that they can help, make current decisions now, but also avoid future problems and sort of improve the performance while in turbulent systems. It doesn't rely on technology at all. But one of the questions I had when I put this out as a preview is someone was asking, what is the difference between turbulence and chaos? And chaos, you'll hear the phrase, the butterfly flaps its wings in India and a hurricane or a tornado starts somewhere else. That's speaking to how small permutations in initial conditions, the butterfly, very small animal, can create seemingly unpredictable consequences way down the line. But another version of chaos is true randomness, where there's no causal connection or relationship between the things that are happening. And it can feel like we're in chaos right now. 2020 certainly feels like we're in chaos, but if you poke underneath the hood and you begin looking at the systems, you see that all of these things are interconnected to one another. They are all reacting to one another. Nothing is really random. It may be hard to see how it's connected or why it's connected, but that's why we use systems thinking tools and problem solving to understand those connections. So the difference between turbulence and chaos is turbulence is a system that is no longer predictable, it's no longer steady, it's no longer, and remember, we can be in a fast moving ocean current that's still steady. That's not turbulence. That's a challenge, but it's not turbulence. Turbulence is where it, all of these changes are occurring rapidly, but they're caused by something. Chaos is completely random, unrelated things. So we need to distinguish between turbulence and chaos and focus on how we manage in turbulence. Now, appreciate your time today. If you have any questions on structured systems thinking, have a problem you'd like our help on, or want to know more about developing your own capabilities in systems thinking, please reach out at the email below. We'd love to hear from you. If you're interested in what we do and want to follow our journey, I've added our LinkedIn and Twitter information. And we plan to regularly update this channel with quick tips and case studies to help you get the most out of your systems thinking and lean efforts. If you want to be notified whenever we add new video content, please consider subscribing to this channel by clicking on the red subscribe button below this video.